The following is an exclusive presentation of WI Garden Media, the voice of Garden Talk Radio. Coming up on the program today, we're going to talk about tree planting and care, what you need to do and what you don't need to do, as well as fall lawn care. Our guest will be author James McCarroll, and will answer your garden questions. So the hour's jam-packed. We'll begin right now.
You are listening to the most informationally packed hour of garden-focused radio in the country and on the internet with your host, husband and wife team Joey and Holly Baird. This is the Gardening with Joey and Holly radio show.
Welcome to the Gardening with Joey and Holly radio show. Happy that you are part of the program today. I am your host, Joey Baird. Beside me is my wife, co-host, best friend, and gardening partner,
Holly Baird.
This program is for you, about you, to help your garden grow better, to maintain your landscape, grow healthier trees, make your grass look greener, as well as preserving what you grow. Happy you allow us to be part of the program, whether you're listening to us on one of the 15 AM and FM frequencies that are broadcasting our program here in 2021, through our parent website, the WisconsinVegetableGardener.com, radio app, podcast replay, in-studio video replay. Thank you for that. If you want to be part of the program, you can do that by giving us a call at 1-800-927-SHOW. That's 1-800-927-SHOW, 1-800-927-7469. If you got a question, send it on over. If you just want to say hi, we'll say hi back to you. If you can't get through, leave a message and we will call you back. You want to send us an email, you can do that as well by going to gardentalkradio@gmail.com, sending that email over. And if you can, send a couple of pictures along with it. That'll help our identification of the situation much easier. Well, Holly, fall is in the front windshield and summer is starting to dwindle away. And we've got to start looking at some projects to get done in the fall.
Right. And one thing you might want to do is plant a tree. And consequently, trees are best planted in the fall.
But the garden center has these trees in the spring. But why would tree planting in the fall be best?
It allows the tree to establish roots, and then it'll have a nice bloom in the spring.
Now, you don't want to as long as the soil can be worked, you can plant a tree. However, you kind of want to keep in mind that if it's gonna freeze hard, if it's 45 degrees today and it's gonna be -3 tomorrow, probably not the best time to put a tree in the ground. You want to at least have a little bit of time for that tree to somewhat get established and get the roots worked out without it immediately going into this horrible hard freeze in most places of the country where it can have that happen.
Right. So one thing you want to keep in mind is that if you are going to purchase a tree to plant, you want to try to plant it within 5 days of your purchase. So if you are like, I'm going to plant this tree Tuesday, but I'm going to buy it on Saturday, that's fine. Ideally, you would probably just want to buy the tree and plant it the same day, but you do have 5 days. Now, if you can't do that, you can also put it into a large container with some soil until you can plant it.
Now, are we talking about bare root, or are we talking about containers in which the plant's already in the balled trees?
Like if it was a bare root or
mail order, typically.
Right. Okay. But yeah, you still want to make sure you do that. So you want to make sure you try to plant it within those 5 days. That's going to give it the best success.
Yeah, put that thing in some water as soon as you get home, as soon as you get it from the mail order. If you're going that route, you can add some compost tea to it to kind of give a little jump. But really, in the fall, if you're doing it in the spring, that would be fine. In the fall, you just kind of want to give it some water to get it back hydrated to its normal levels as it would be in the ground. If you're in a container or something like that, you're probably fine as long as you keep the soil moist. And keep that in mind when you're planting a tree for bare root.
Right. So, and just so you know, if there's snow on the ground, it doesn't mean that the ground is necessarily frozen. You need about 5 days or so for your daytime temperature to stay below 32 degrees. 4 to 6 weeks for your daytime temperature to stay below 32 degrees. So it takes a while for the ground to freeze. That's That's
People may not think that. They think, oh, it's 32 or 28. Now the ground's hard as a rock. It may be like a fractional inch or half, a quarter of an inch or whatever, that top layer. But down below, Earth is designed not to freeze, because there's a lot of stuff going on in the soil.
There's a lot of stuff going on in the soil. So speaking of soil, when you plant your tree, you want to dig a saucer-shaped hole. And this is for the trees that are wrapped in like the
Burlap.
Burlap, yep. So that's what you want to do, and so you want to have it deeper in the middle and then more shallow on the sides.
And whenever you plant this tree, two things that people make the biggest mistake about planting trees, whether in the spring or the fall, is one, they dig a hole, probably not big enough that it's not big enough. Two, they plant the tree and then they backfill it with a whole bunch of compost and potting soil and enriched, nutrient-filled soil. And then they stake it down tighter than a radio tower is. And they walk away and go, I've done a good deed for the earth, and they're happy. And it's not, those three things are not good for the tree. A hole not big enough, the wrong kind of soil, and staking it down.
Right. So you did not really necessarily do a good thing for the earth. But yeah, so you want to dig your hole, and you want to make sure your hole is 2 to 3 times as wide and as deep as the root ball.
That if your root ball is 2 foot wide, you're going to dig a pretty good size hole. But it is important for the tree to have that type of soil, that hole available for the roots to start developing and securing the tree to the ground, which is what ultimately happens. And we'll go back and the reasons why you don't want to you want to dig a hole big enough. Secondly, you don't want to backfill it with compost or potting soil mix or your famous whatever kind of nutrient mix you would use for your vegetables. Because if you do such, the roots do not go and look for nutrients. They don't spread out and fix the tree or lock the tree in the ground. The roots just stay right there and continue to they don't grow because all the stuff they need is right there.
So we don't want to put Uncle Joey's special soil blend in?
No, you want
to use the native soil.
At the very, very worst, you go 50-50 mix. Very worst. If you've got the soil, put the soil back in the ground that you dug the hole out with, and the tree will do fine. You want to water the tree in, even in the fall time. And secondly, you don't want to stake the tree down tight because the tree...
Well, let's get to that in a second here. So you want to carry the tree by the root ball from the bottom.
As you're transporting it from...
Like you're hugging it, essentially, the root ball.
You're not grabbing it by the
you don't want to grab it by the stalk, the stem.
The trunk.
The trunk.
Yeah.
You want to grab it by the root ball. So that's something that's important. Then once you have your hole dug, as Joey mentioned, make sure you do move the native soil out of the way but close by. Then you want to unwrap it from the burlap sack or whatever that you want to call that, and then you put it into the hole. So, and obviously the deepest part.
And if it's you want to get all the burlap off, if there's a wire mesh or cage around it or fencing around it, get that off too, because you want to make the roots as least restricted as possible whenever you're putting it in the ground.
Right. And so then you want to check the planting depth. You want the root collar to be level with the ground. Mm-hmm. So that seems obvious, but I just want
bigger the tree, it may be a little more challenging. You can take a shovel and kind of do that guesswork to make sure whenever you put a 10-foot tree in the ground that you put in the ground one time and it's correct, and you're not digging it back out or lifting it back out and putting it back in.
Right. And you can do some of this digging, if you feel this is labor intensive or maybe a little bit more than what you want to do in a day. You could go out there Wednesday after work and dig some, and then do that until you're ready to, you have the hole the size that you think it should be, so that you're not having to dig and backfill in the same day. It's okay to kind of split it up. So you put the tree in there. Once you figure out that the root collar is going to be level with the ground, then what you can do is you want to go ahead and make sure.
And before you put it in the ground, you want to walk around the tree and find out what the prettiest side of the tree or the prettiest face is, and put that in the direction which you're going to predominantly. If you're in an urban setting, you're going to put that face facing the road where people are going to look at it, and you put the least appealing side away or behind so you or others
Well,
can't
you
see.
can make the least appealing sign face your yard if you want.
Yeah.
I mean, that's up to you. You just make sure you want, however you put that tree in the ground is how it's going to stay.
Right. You want to see
Yeah.
what you want, how you want it to be facing before you put it in the ground and start maneuvering it around.
Right. And then the other thing is that just make sure you, as Joey mentioned, remove any packing materials, what have you, so that it's not a problem. And you want to straighten your tree, make sure that it is how you want it to look, and then you can start backfilling.
And then there's times where if you need to trim a little bit, you can trim a little bit. Backfill, you are going to have the soil settle down, meaning it's going to be less than what it was, so you'll have to backfill a little bit. You can put a tree diaper around it. But one thing you do not want to do is go to your local garden center and get umpteen pounds of mulch and mulch 6 feet up the trunk, what's called volcanic mulching. You want a level amount, 2 or 3 inches around 3 foot out from the trunk, level, and not going up the trunk, because that can cause a lot of irreversible damage because that mulch is too far up the trunk, and it can cause roots to develop there, can cause rot to occur. Volcanic, look it up if you're not familiar with it. It's volcanic mulching. A lot of municipalities do this. Big cities do this, and they think it's the greatest thing they ever done to a tree, and it's actually killing the trees year after year.
You do want to mulch around it.
Yes,
And you want to make sure you leave a little divot around between the mulch and the tree trunk. Once you've backfilled, then you just go ahead and you could determine, if you want to mulch it. 2 to 3 inches is plenty of mulch height around it, and again, do the little divot around the trunk. And then if you do want to stake it, you certainly can.
But just think, if you go out in the woods, how many gnomes do you see staking saplings in the native woods in the forests?
They do that at night.
Oh, they do that? Oh, that's why I haven't seen them?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. How much time are you spending in the woods anyway?
Well, I've never seen a gnome or anything stake a tree in the woods. My point is...
I have.
Yeah, okay. My point is, in nature, trees survive on their own, and they have ever since the beginning of time.
Nature.
For whatever reason, we feel that the tree needs to be staked because we need to help support it. Actually, if you overstake and put the ropes too taut, you're actually weakening the tree. You're causing the tree to not rely on itself for support and relying on those straps or those wires or whatever horrible thing you're wrapping around the tree, and the tree will actually be weaker whenever you remove those, if you actually remember to remove those over the course of its lifetime, and actually can shorten the life of the tree.
Right. So, yep. See, and then you also want to remove any tags, labels, whatever from the trunk of the tree.
Save them, put them inside, but remember what it was, because
Yeah.
what was that tree? Have no clue.
Exactly.
And people may think, well, what's the difference? Why do I need to know what kind of tree it is? Because at some point, that tree may have some type of disease or fungal or bacteria or some kind of issue, and you can go, this is the type of tree it is, Mr. Horticultural guy, tree expert guy. What is the best thing? When you reach out for assistance, at least that's more information you can provide for the person, the better diagnostics one can give you.
Yep. And so there's a lot of good information online, but the Arbor Day Foundation is where I got all of this information, and they are very helpful with a lot of tree planting, whatever helpful information as well.
And if you want to plant trees, go ahead. Best time to do it 10 years ago, but tomorrow's a good time. And also, if you want to kind of plan ahead, plant something that will produce rather than just leaves or acorns. You got nut trees, berry trees, cherry trees, fruit trees, a lot of different options for a lot of different parts of the country. Well, another option in which you have is whether you're a fisher woman or a man, hunter, butcher, homesteader, Walton's has everything you need in order to get the job done right, correctly, and safely.
And you could just be a city person that likes to make be handy with these products.
Yeah.
So the Gardening with Joey and Holly radio show is brought to you today by our sponsors, Walton's Inc. We care about where your food comes from. Canning and preserving your fruits and vegetables is great, but what about the meat?
What about the meat?
At waltonsinc.com, you can get all the equipment, seasoning, and supplies to make sausage, jerky, and any other meat product your way to your high standards. If you want to make some delicious snack sticks, incredible beef jerky, they have all that great...
Impress your friends while you're barbecuing with the seasonings in which they have available
even just yourself in the
Well,
kitchen.
yeah, that's too.
Yeah. So they have all sorts of great stuff. And they also have meatgistics.com, which is an informational site to help you find or help you make the best finished product. They have meat grinders, mixers, sausage stuffers, all that good stuff to go from animal to edible. That's waltonsinc.com or meatgistics.com.
Well, when we come back, it's about fall lawn maintenance. Do you know what you should be doing or not doing? You're listening to the Gardening with Joey and Holly radio show.
Got a question for Joey and Holly? Send it via email anytime to gardentalkradio@gmail.com.
We here at the Gardening with Joey and Holly radio show Gardens understand that healthy soil is the key to a successful garden. We know that chemical fertilizer burns carbon out of the soil and kills the microbes needed for a healthy soil ecosystem. No worries. Chicken Soup for the Soil by Dr. Jim's will stimulate life into your soil, supplying all the nutrients most fertilizers neglect. Rather than force-feeding water-soluble chemical fertilizer, we suggest feeding the microbes a smorgasbord of 100% biodegradable nutrients that your plants can consume when they need them. The nutrients are readily available to maximize their genetic potential. Chicken Soup for the Soil will increase the quality of the fruit and vegetables you grow. Visit drjims.com. That's drjimz.com.
Pomona's Universal Pectin is a high-quality pectin that gels reliably with low amounts of any sweetener. If you're trying to reduce the amount of sugar in your diet, you'll love Pomona's Universal Pectin. Now you can make healthy homemade jams and jellies sweetened to your taste. You can use sugar or honey to sweeten. Pomona's Universal Pectin keeps indefinitely when stored in an airtight container. Easy to use, versatile, and comes with directions and recipes in every box. Find out more and where to buy at PomonaPectin.com. Also available at natural food stores and online.
With the right tools, plant maintenance is easy and more effective. Ironwood Tool Company has the right tools for your project. From pruners to loppers to saws and shears and cleanup tools, get the right tool for this season, making your job much easier. Find them all at ironwoodtools.com. Rinse kit, pressurized water on the go. No pumping, no battery, simply fill from your spigot or sink on the way out for up to 5 minutes of spray time. Anywhere, live dirty, rinse clean with Rinse Kit.
Straight from the farm, fields, and briar patch, Piper and Leaf Artisan Tea is a tea like you've never imagined it. Get our award-winning tea delivered right to your front door and become part of the Piper and Leaf family. Free shipping over $75 at piperandleaf.com.
The Gardening with Joey and Holly radio show is brought to you by the following: Blue Ribbon Organics, Naturally Green Products, Ironwood Tool Company, Easy Step Products, Rinse Kit, Soul Brew Kombucha, Wild Delight, Rykon Vitova, Chip Drop, BaleBuster.com. Find all sponsors at the WisconsinVegetableGardener.com and thank them for their support. Welcome back to the Garden with Joey and Holly radio show. Happy you've hung around. Do you have problems with keeping your plants watered this summer? Well, Tree Diaper has the solution to that terrible age-old problem, not keeping your plants healthy by watering them.
Before Tree Diaper, watering trees, shrubs, and bushes was not your favorite job on your property, but with Tree Diaper, it's not really a job. Tree Diaper is a revolutionary watering system that slowly releases stored rainwater when plants need it. The Tree Diaper is filled with water from rain, or when you water, and slowly releases water over 3 weeks. No pipes, hoses, or electricity needed. Whether you're a first-time gardener or advanced, Tree Diaper will improve the way you water your plants every time it rains. Tree Diaper recharges. Made in the USA, you can find all the sizes they have available at treediaper.com. That's treediaper.com.
Well, it's time to, as fall gets near, it's time to start planning to look at what we need to do in order to get our lawn in shape. And fall, as we talked about, is a great time to plant trees, but also is a great time to seed your lawn if you've got patches that need to be filled in, or if you are wanting to redo your lawn. There's some things in which you should know in order to have the best lawn possible. And one is knowing what type of seed is best. Do you need a cool season grass? Or are you needing a warm season grass? Or do you need a transitional seed grass? What does all that mean, Holly?
It's almost like onions. Where
Okay.
if you're in the south, the the deep south, you want a warm season grass. If you're kind of in the middle of the country, like St. Louis-ish area and to the east and west, you can do the transitional season grass. And then if you're north, I don't know, let me see here, like Chicago-ish, kind of middle of Illinois, middle of Indiana, and north.
That's across kind of the boundary across the United States, give or take.
Yeah. Then you want to do the cool season grass.
So warm season grasses are varieties that are actively growing, are inactive growing beginning in late spring and go dormant in early to mid fall. Cool season grasses are varieties that are active or green up much earlier in the growing season, middle of spring, and stay green longer into the fall before going dormant in late fall. So there's all different varieties of grasses. So whether you're seeding them or you're laying sod down, you want to get the right kind of grass. And once you have that grass down, maybe you've already got a very nice lawn, or you've purchased a home that has a lawn already that's very well maintained. What can we do in order to continue that beauty that the lawn is giving us from whatever source, whether we've done it or the previous owner or a landscaping company has come in and made it all fancy for us?
So during fall, the leaves fall from the trees. In case you didn't
What?
know. What? And those are fun. Leaves are great. They're great for your mulch for your vegetable garden. But for your grass, they can cause problems because they can block out much needed water or sun, or even just like air, essentially, for your grass to breathe.
Now, if you don't want to take your grass clippings to the garden like we do, you can just mow them up and mulch them, can't you?
The leaves, you mean?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, you can mow up the leaves. That's no problem. Or maybe you get joy in raking in the leaves. Whatever you like. But just that's one thing. If you want to have a beautiful, lush lawn, then you want to make sure you remove those leaves, and then you can do whatever you want with them. Put them in the street for pickup. Put them in your garden. Whatever. But
we would recommend at least making a pile somewhere and not giving them to the city or burning them, for that matter. There's a lot of value to the leaves.
Make a pile and let your niece and nephew jump into
right.
it. Whatever. So yeah, so that's one thing. Another thing is to keep cutting the lawn. I don't know. I think most people that I know cut the lawn up until it, I don't know, I guess freezes or snows or
back
whatever.
where I'm from, Southern Illinois, 26 times a year is what you cut the grass.
Yeah.
Half the year, every week, you cut the grass. From about early March all the way to first week in November, kind of in that area.
Yeah, here, I mean, it obviously varies, but yeah, you want to keep cutting. You want to keep it at the correct height. So you want to keep it at 2.5 to 3 inches in height.
That seems, you would think, I mean, if you've got a very nice lawn that's been maintained, you want to have that good thick carpet of grass. If you're, and just like many people who are listening, you don't care about your grass, you mow that sucker as low as you can so you don't have to mow it as frequently. And whatever grows in what you call a lawn is whatever grows in whatever you call a lawn. You just mow it down every week. But there are some people that find great pleasure and find curb appeal and value in keeping a lawn because it makes the value of their home, or sometimes they are, my lawn's better than your lawn attitude as well. So everybody's got their own reasonings behind one way or another.
Right. So, yeah, you want to keep cutting your grass.
For a good, healthy lawn, you don't want to mow that thing all the way to the ground. You want to have some sizable grass available there. So,
well, mowing it down super low also is bad for the root system.
Yes.
So you want to keep that in mind as well. So that 2.5 to 3 inches is correct, and that will help. It's kind of like when maybe you're trying to grow your hair out for for whatever reason. Regular trims keeps it nice and healthy. Same thing with the grass. You want to keep it to a certain height, not too short, not too long, and you're going to have a healthier lawn.
Well, what do we do if the soil is just so dense in our yard and maybe it's really hurting the grass production?
You could aerate it.
Okay. We can purchase or rent or do it ourselves or have somebody come in and do it.
And and so some grass experts recommend allowing somebody else to just come in and aerate it. Not necessarily every year, every other year, every few years, kind of dependent on the kind of soil you have. That's something you would have to feel out. And you can also call a grass lawn expert for
Grassologist,
a grassologist, I don't know, landscaper, whatever.
horticultural grass
yeah,
expert. Yeah.
grass expert, marine biologist, what have you, and and they could come out and say, maybe your lawn could use aeration, or maybe
And they'll
whatever.
do soil tests and density tests on the soil and figure out whether or not it is even needing an aeration, or if there's other means in order to get your lawn softened up.
Right. And you may think, you're a DIY person and you're going to do this yourself. And more power to you, but sometimes time is money, right? And so if you need to rent an aerator and then do all the work, it might pay off just to pay somebody, especially if it's only going to be every couple of years. So kind of weigh that too. So yeah, that's definitely aeration is a good idea.
So keep the lawn very loose and the soil loose. And also now our friends at Nature's Lawn has a product that will actually do that for you, so you don't have to rent a machine. That's natureslawn.com, and it will actually aerate the soil without actually having to rent an aerator.
Right.
What's another thing? We need to keep watering though.
Yeah, you want to keep watering. You want to, year round, you want about an inch of water for your lawn every week.
Okay.
So however you want to figure that out, whether it be like we've kind of been in a drought, but now we just got rain dumped on us the last 3 days. Mm-hmm. That's not consistent. So you might have to do irrigation. You might want to set up a sprinkler system. You might want to, there's lots of options.
Quick snap sprinklers.
Yeah, quick snap sprinklers. There's a lot of things you can do to ensure your lawn is being watered.
And Aerify Plus was Nature's Lawn at natureslawn.com. Does the work for you, and you can use coupon code GRDNTLK-AP. You can just go natureslawn.com, and you can get the coupon code there. Garden Talk Radio listeners can save 10% on their order with Aerify Plus. So keeping the water to it, 1 inch a week. How does one tell if you're getting enough water? Well, you figure out whatever means of irrigation that you're doing, whether it's the rainbow, or the overhead thing, or quick snap sprinklers. Figure out where the water is being distributed, and take a cup or a tuna can or something and put out there, and for 15 minutes. And then measure how much water is in that, multiply it by 4, and that's how much water is going to be there in an hour. So whether you're, yeah. So that's how you can figure out how much water, if you're overwatering or underwatering, which is a very important thing, because over is just as bad as under if you're watering too much one way or another.
Right. So yeah, you want to water. Now, this is the important part.
Okay. Pay attention.
All of this is important, but you want to feed your lawn in the fall.
Okay.
I've heard this my whole entire life from a lot of people, and apparently this is very important. So you want to feed it in the fall. They need water. Grass roots need water to last the winter, and they also need that the boost of the fertilizer.
The energy in order to before it goes to dormancy.
Yeah. Kind of bears probably eat a lot before they go into hibernation.
Right.
Same thing for your grass. So you want to use something that's a high nitrogen, slow release granular fertilizer. So like a 24-0-10, somewhere in there.
That first number is important.
Yes. And then the other one is the nitrogen, and then the what's it called?
Phosphorus and potassium.
Yeah, potassium. So phosphorus is not as important, but the potassium is also
third number.
A little bit important because it aids the root growth and disease protection.
So that's something you want. You want to slow release, which is key, and you do not want to give it too much, because there are fertilizers like 90-00. That is not something you want to do in the fall. You want to feed the plant, but you want to feed it slow so it can go into dormancy. You don't want it to you're not trying to get the plant, the grass, to continue to grow through the cold winter. That's not the key. You just want to give it a little food and then let it go to bed for the winter and then jump back up in the spring. Well, talking about summer is getting close to being over here, but those nasty Japanese beetles are still wreaking havoc on our gardens, Holly.
Yeah, if you're looking to successfully control beetles without damaging the environment, then you want to look no further than Beetle Gone from Phylum Bioproducts. It's derived from a naturally occurring soil bacteria. Beetle Gone is the only organic solution that successfully controls beetle invaders. Just mix the powder with water and spray on your plants. Once ingested, the targeted pests will stop feeding and die. And since it's an organic BT product, you know it's a great choice to use on your fruits and veggies in addition to your ornamental flowers and trees and shrubs.
Not only do I like Beetle Gone, but the best part about it, it's safe for the environment around beneficial insects, butterflies, bees, ladybugs, totally safe, and it has zero water toxicity. That's Beetle Gone from PhylumBioproducts.com. Have you checked them out? That's PHYLLOM bioproducts.com. Well, hang around. When we come back, author James McCarroll will be with us. You're listening to the Gardening with Joey and Holly radio show.
Have a garden question? Give Joey and Holly a call now or anytime 24/7. Just dial 1-800-927-SHOW. If you can't get through, leave a message and they will call you back. Call now 1-800-927-SHOW.
Tired of dealing with bugs but don't want to use harmful chemicals to repel them? Naturally Green No More Bugs is all natural and plant-based. No more chemical bug repellent. Use it around your home and on you, indoors and out. DEET-free and will not stain. Repels mosquitoes, ticks, fleas, roaches, ants, flies, and more. No More Bugs is the answer to what is bugging you. Stop using harmful chemicals and use what is safe for you, your family, pets, and the environment. For more information, visit natgreenproducts.com. natgreenproducts.com. Brought to you by Blue Ribbon Organics, providing locally made organic compost and soil blends for gardens, farms, landscaping, and more. Visit blueribbonorganics.com or call 262-497-8539 to find their products nearest you. You move your lawn sprinklers all over the yard, but you always end up putting them in the same spots. Why not just bury them there? Out of sight, always ready to use, pre-adjusted to water the precise areas you want. Quick Snap Sprinklers makes it easy. In-ground sprinklers without the hassle or expense of laying pipe. Put the sprinklers anywhere in your lawn or garden. Snap on a hose to supply the water. Water on, it pops up. Water off, it drops below ground. You can mow right over it. You can have a buried sprinkler system up and running in just minutes. Each Quick Snap saves thousands of dollars. They install in minutes and operate for years. Visit quicksnapsprinkler.com. Is your dog that's causing dead spots in your lawn? Dog urine can burn lawns and ruin the appearance of your lawn very quickly. Fortunately, our friends at Nature's Lawn has a solution for this problem with their Spotless Lawn product. Spotless Lawn's three-way action helps neutralize dog urine, helps move it through the root zone, and then helps the grass recover. If there's still life left in the grass, Spotless Lawn will help resuscitate it. Visit natureslawn.com and look for Spotless Lawn. That's natureslawn.com and look for Spotless Lawn. The Gardening with Joey and Holly radio show is brought to you by the following: Pro Plugger, Dripworks, Walton's Incorporated, Tree Diaper, Janie's Mill, Phylum Bioproducts, Chapin Manufacturing Incorporated, Nature's Lawn and Garden Incorporated, Deer Defeat, Dr. Jim's, Root Maker. Find all sponsors at the WisconsinVegetableGardener.com and thank them for their support. Welcome back to the Gardening with Joey and Holly radio show. Happy you're with us today. Hey, do you got some problems with yellow jackets? Rescue has a product in which can keep you safe on your own property.
During these summer months, you will notice more aggressive yellow jackets flying around. Yellow jackets are looking for your barbecue meats, sweet drinks, and even water sources. You want to keep them at bay with the Rescue Yellow Jacket Traps. Rescue Yellow Jacket Traps are an eco-friendly do-it-yourself option to keep these stinging pests away from you. These traps are a powerful lure for yellow jackets and will not attract beneficial honeybees. All our Rescue products are made in the USA. You can go to rescue.com where to buy Rescue Yellow Jacket Traps and other pest control solutions.
Holly, let's go to the hotline and bring in our guest for this week.
James McCarroll is a Nashville, Tennessee native, currently serves as the pastor of First Baptist Church in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. He is an author, music writer, and producer, and entrepreneur. He's also the author of a few books, including hashtag Garden Talks 50 Lessons for Productive Living. Welcome to the program.
Hey guys, it's so good to be here. So good to be here.
Well, we thank you for taking time out of your day to not only educate Holly and myself, but all of our listeners across the country. And we'll just get started with this question right here. You started gardening as a grown adult. How did you get involved? Where was the I need to do this moment in your life?
So it happened actually during the pandemic last year. While I was at home, there's a botanist. So she was saying that I needed some type of hobby because as a pastor, our church was closed and I was pretty much to myself. And so she recommended that I started gardening as a way of kind of putting something else on my plate that would take my mind away from all that was going on during the pandemic.
Now, had you had any type, had you ever grown a thing in your life?
I had two plants which were both on life support on a weekly basis. So they, yeah, I watered them so sparingly that by the grace of God alone, they were alive. So that's all. Those are the only two things I'd ever grown in my life.
Well, not to get in a church mode, but there's a lot of correlations between biblical stuff and growing plants.
Yes, yes. So what's interesting is biblically in Genesis chapter 2, God places Adam in a garden. And of all of the places he could have placed him, he places him in a garden. And the more I've done research, and the more I've kind of been around gardening, I realize it's because the gardening process, the process of plant growth, is really a phenomenal paradigm for growing anything and for fruitfulness in life, fruitfulness in relationships, fruitfulness in work. And so there's so many principles there that you find with Jesus that many of his parables are connected to, agriculture, connected to that type of environment and those principles there because they have the greatest correlation as it pertains to productivity.
That definitely makes a lot of sense. Now, as a new gardener, what is one of the biggest challenges you faced, and how did you overcome it?
Three. One of the biggest challenges was infection. Understanding that the gardening process is not smooth. It's not like you put a seed in the ground, you water that seed, and it just produces. You have to consider all of the other elements that work against the plant being produced in a healthy manner. And so the way I addressed it was a lot of mentoring, a ton of mentoring, really more for the purpose of continuing to keep me encouraged while I was watching things die or watching things turn brown or watching different elements uh, of infection hit the plants. And so what they taught me was this. They taught me that there are going to be some infections you can't get around. Some things are environmental. Some things may happen because there are things in the dirt, but then there are some infections that can be reversed. And the key thing is to remain patient, to remain cognizant of what exactly is going on in the plant. And then finally, to do the homework so that you're not surprised by the infection, but that you're ready for it when it does show up.
So you know what to expect because you've planned ahead, because you've read the couple of chapters before, so you know what to look for or what to expect, so you're not disappointed or overjoyed either way.
Absolutely.
Too overjoyed.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Now, you recently talked about a life lesson by watching ants in your garden. What did you learn from the very productive ants that you were watching? What happened there?
So I'm watching these ants. I actually was mad at the ants because they created anthill in my garden. It was a full on anthill. So I actually poured water right down the anthill. It was a very mean thing to do. I know, but what I watched was as I poured the water down. 2 days later, they rebuilt it, and I began to watch these ants, and I began to realize that ants are the silent pollinators. But there were so many principles I learned. Principle number one was you never see an ant stand still. You'll never see an ant stand still. You'll never see an ant that's not moving according to their purpose. They're not sitting back waiting for life to find them. They're aggressive and they're assertive in fulfilling the assignment that's been placed on them. Number two, I began to realize that the more I saw ants move, the ant could go in one direction and have a specific goal in mind, but if that goal was shut down, he would create a new direction to make sure that he still fulfilled his purpose. And it shows us that sometimes our plan A doesn't always work out. And so we have to have enough understanding of purpose within us that even when the job falls through, we don't think that the absence of a job means the absence of purpose. And so we have to understand that just because the job may not work out, that assignment may not work out, it doesn't mean that now we don't have a purpose and a reason for being on this earth. And so when we understand that deeper purpose, then we don't lose as much of our mind, if you will,
Right.
when it doesn't work the way we planned on it working. And then the last principle I saw was, and if you've ever had ants in your house, you know that ants, the reason I kill ants in my home is because ants bring their friends. But the way ants bring their friends is they as you know, they lay pheromones.
Right.
And they lay pheromones because they're thinking about the ants coming. And ants are so big on not only being on not being the only ones who find the what they're looking for, find the treasure, if you will, at the end of the path. They make room for those coming after them. And it just reminded me that whatever we do, wherever we're successful, we have a responsibility to carve a path for those who are coming behind us, to make sure that just as we're successful in the area, they have that same opportunity. So those are some of the lessons that the ants taught me.
Well, and you spoke about you poured water and the ants rebuilt. It's kind of like in life when one door closes, another door will open. And if there's not a door, God will provide you wood to build a door, and then He'll open it and give you another pathway to go down the road that He wants you to.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I learned that. I'll share one brief story if it's okay.
Yes, go ahead.
The greatest lesson I learned in the garden was never build it once if you're not willing to build it twice. The first year gardening, a person came and vandalized the garden. They saw that I was on Garden Talks. They found my address, came to my house, and literally vandalized my garden. And I was distraught. I was just frustrated. And I remember calling one of my gardening mentors, and he said, you have to be ready and willing to take a hit. He said, inevitably, when you grow something, whenever you start a garden, something will happen to it, whether it's a storm, whether it's an animal eating it all up, whether it's a hornworm coming in and tearing up all of your crops. He says, if you're going to build it once, be prepared to build it again. And I hope that's a word of encouragement for some who give it their all and they see it all fall through. And you just have to know that if you're going to do it, before you begin the first time, make sure you're ready to not only build, but to rebuild. And you'll find out that sometimes the devastation of the first garden is to teach you lessons to do the second one, even to make the second garden even greater than the first one was.
That's a very good lesson to learn, and I think it applies to many, if not all, aspects of a lot of things in life. So we are talking with Pastor James McCarroll, and he is an author and a pastor. And your book, Garden Talks, has a lot of great information. Please tell our listeners what to expect and something that would intrigue them to pick up a copy.
Listen, Garden Talks takes the garden and uses it in a way that very few people have seen a garden used. It has three different purposes. One is to show you just the life of an amateur gardener. I'm so green at this. And it allows you to see a very real time space that existed in my first year of gardening. So I get to show you that it's not going to be perfect. You're going to make some mistakes, and it gives you the freedom to be able to start it knowing that it's not going to be ideal on the first go around. The second thing it does is it gives you these lessons. It gives you these simple gardening principles, but every principle in the garden is tied to a principle in life. And it allows you to see life, see a garden through a lens that you probably have never seen it before, but it truly will allow the garden to speak directly to you. and it will allow you to have some introspective spaces that will give you what you need to really reconsider how to become more productive in your life. Then the last thing it does is this, is every garden talk closes with prayer. Because here's the thing, you can learn it, you can reflect on it, but there has to be some element where you confess it, where you speak it out of your mouth, so that any ungodly or any unhealthy belief systems you have that may be working against your productivity, you at least have a statement that you can make that works toward your productivity. And so the purpose of the book is simply to give you very basic principles that have very profound results. And we're hearing more and more success stories come from this book than any other book I've written. And I want to encourage you to get a copy. Trust me, it will change your life. It will truly bless you.
Now, last year was your first year gardening. This year's your second year. Has things been better or worse for you this year, knowing what you've learned from last year?
It has been absolutely better. Absolutely better. I have seen harvests at levels I've never imagined, harvested crops. But even greater than that, I've seen it's been better because now I don't garden by myself. Last year I started it, but hundreds of people are literally gardening now because of garden talks last year. And so what makes it greater is that now more mouths are fed from organic gardens. And so not only my garden, but the extension of the Garden Talks community's gardens has just been a blessing. So that makes it all the more better.
Well,
Yes,
and you know just as well as we know, nothing easy comes in life. You've got to work for everything, and you should be happy and thankful for everything you get. A lot of people think everything should be handed to them with no work or no effort put into it.
absolutely. Absolutely. You're exactly right. You're exactly right.
Well, go ahead.
I would say gardening teaches you that there is no shortcut. Even if you use Miracle Grow, there's still no shortcut. You've got to do the work.
Well, James, we greatly appreciate the time you've given us. How can people find more about you and purchase your book?
They can go on jamesmccarroll.org. That's JamesMcCarroll.org. They can go there, or if they want to quickly purchase it, if they're on Amazon.com, they can put that same name in on Amazon.com, and the book will come up, and you can purchase it there as well.
Well, James, it's been a true honor to have you on. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day, not only enlightening and educating Holly and myself, but all of our listeners across the country.
Well, thank you all for the opportunity. Blessings.
Absolutely. And when we come back, it's going to be your garden questions, our garden answers. This is the Gardening with Joy and Holly radio show, a program to help your garden grow better.
Have a garden question? Give Joey and Holly a call now or anytime 24/7. Just dial 1-800-927-SHOW. If you can't get through, leave a message and they will call you back. Call now 1-800-927-SHOW.
The number one key to healthy, productive plants are the roots. Starting from seed to full-grown plants, rootmaker.com has the answer. From seed starting trays with an innovative design that air prunes the roots, creating a fabulous root system, never again will you have root-bound plants, to multiple gallon grow bag sizes to raised beds. Rootmaker.com has your grow needs covered. Visit rootmaker.com. Use coupon code RADIO21 and get 15% off your entire order. CousinsCompost.com offers a full range of compost and vermicomposting supplies, including the new Royal All-Natural Worm Bedding. Shop Cousins Compost for composting worms, worm castings, indoor and outdoor worm bins, and compost bins. Use coupon code REDWORM21 for 10% off your order at CousinsCompost.com.
Protect your plants against damage with a 3-in-1 plant guard and special blend fertilizer. Visit ivorganics.com.
Hello, I'm Joey Barrett from the Gardening with Joy and Holly radio show. If you're looking for merchandise for the program, you can go to thatismyshirt.com and get shirts with our logos on it. If you'd want to go a different route, they have a lot of comical, logical, and witty sayings on shirts that you can wear that makes a statement. From valedictorian from Common Sense University to I Heart Compost to Don't Be Just Average Today, and a number of other great sayings. It all can be found at thatismyshirt.com. Thatismyshirt.com. Sizes from small to 5 extra large and multiple colors per shirt to choose from. Thatismyshirt.com. The Gardening with Joey and Holly radio show is brought to you by the following: Simply Earth, Seed Savers Exchange, Quick Snap Sprinklers, Water Hoop, Timber Pro Coatings, Bloomin' Easy Plants, Pomona Universal Pectin, Ivy Organics, Tiger Torch, Happy Leaf LED, Seedlink. Find all sponsors at the WisconsinVegetableGardener.com and thank them for their support. Welcome back to the Gardening with Joey and Holly radio show. Thank you for being with us today. If you've got a question and answer time, you can certainly get that sent over to us at gardentalkradio@gmail.com. That's gardentalkradio@gmail.com. Or if you'd like to speak with us directly, you can jam your fingers in the phone and give us a call at 1-800-927-SHOW. That's 1-800-927-7469. Let's go to the hotline. Dale, listening to us on WNAX 570 out of Yankton, South Dakota, has a question about tomatoes.
Yeah, this is Dale. My question is this, or my problem is this. On our tomatoes, we have a problem with bottom rot or blossom rot, whatever you want to call it, and just wondering what to do. Thank you.
All right, Dale, Holly, we can help Dale with this problem. Blossom end rot. 99% of the time, it's because of inaccurate watering or inconsistent watering. There's plenty. It's not the proper development of the fruit. You look at a bright green, a bright red, yellow, orange tomato. Underneath, it's rotten, and it's because it didn't have the proper calcium to develop the fruit. Not because you didn't have enough calcium in the soil, but you didn't have the availability for the calcium to be uptaken because the soil was too dry.
Yeah, this happens a lot, especially because you plant your tomatoes, you might have some rain, and then all of a sudden it gets dry, and you don't really necessarily think about not having enough.
Oh, it's going to rain?
Yeah. Oh, there's rain in the forecast. Of course it's going to rain. And then the tomatoes start to produce, and then you have this issue. So what happens is the calcium is locked up in the soil because it doesn't have proper access because of not having enough moisture. So a lot of people will say, add some Epsom salt or add some eggshells or Tums or whatever and water it in. And then all of a sudden the problem's solved. But it's not because you added X, Y, or Z. It's because you watered, and that's why. Eggshells broke down, even in a powdered form, can take several months to be uptaken. In a crushed form, it can take 12 to 18 months to be usable. Tums, as some people put that at the time of planting, just water consistently. If you see the fruit on your plant currently that has blackened spots, even in the unripened stage, take them off the plant so the plant's not putting energy into a fruit, the tomato, that is going to be rotten on the bottom. So it can fix, when you water it, it will most likely fix the next grouping of fruit that will be developed on the plant. Right. So that's the solution there. All right, let's go to Dawn, who's listening to us on Joy, 1340 AM and 98.7 FM in Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
My name is Dawn. I would like to know how to get rid of wild violets in my lawn. Thank you.
Okay. Well, we got a couple of different solutions for you, Dawn. Easy and hard and organic and not organic. So we're going to touch all gamuts here. Okay. So you can dig them up. That's one solution. That's the organic solution. Another solution would be to use an agricultural grade vinegar solution. You dilute it a little bit, but it's still the agricultural grade, so it's a lot stronger than what you can just pick up at the local Stop and Shop. Typically 20 to 30% percent vinegar in that. Yeah. And it's non-selective. It will acidity. Yeah, it'll kill anything you spray it on. That's the thing, it's non-selective. So if you just take it and dump it on your lawn, it's also going to kill the grass. You'd have to kind of pinpoint the violets, but several applications will get rid of that. You can also the non-organic solution would be to use a selective weed and feed that kills broadleaf plants, but keeps the grass. Yeah, that would typically have the 2,4-D ingredient in it. That's what we used on the farm to kill thistles in the pasture, but not affect the grasses. So there's some options for you. All right, we got another phone call here. Let's go to Ilona, listening to us on WAAM 1600 AM and 92.7 FM out of Ann Arbor, Michigan.
Because of the rain that we've had, but all of my new young plants have always been nipped off and eaten, and I see now in the evening I'm out, there's roly-polies all over them eating them. So what do I do for the roly-poly? And I bet you any money that's what's eating all my young sunflowers too. Okay, and whatever can handle the roly-polies, maybe cutworms as well, because I have that on my sunflowers. All right, thanks.
So, Holly, can we help Ilona with her cutworms and her roly-poly situation?
Yep. So you can use diatomaceous earth.
Okay.
Diatomaceous earth is a natural product, basically made from fossils. Essentially, is what it's
ground
made
up.
from.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's safe for a lot of gardening things. People use it in their homes. A lot of applications.
There is an actual edible version, a safe consumption type of diatomaceous.
Like people will give it to their dogs for like indigestion,
and they'll rub it on their fur for ticks and all that. Okay.
So you just would sprinkle that on your seedlings, what have you, and that the roly-polies or pill bugs, potato bugs, whatever you want to call them, don't care for that. And the same thing for the cutworms.
All right. Well, if you've got a question, you can give us a call at 1-800-927-SHOW, just like Dawn, Dale, and Ilana did, and we can get your question answered. Holly, here's some questions that came in via email at gardentalkradio@gmail.com. If you're not the phone type of person, my seals were not sealed 12 hours after I canned, but when I touched the tops of the jars in which I canned, they pinged closed. Is that considered a safe seal?
No, it's not a safe seal. When you have to basically force a seal, it's not a safe seal. It's not a true seal, even if it pings. So when you push on it like that, so what you want to do is you want to just the next day go ahead and reprocess it. You would just put a new lid on and then reprocess it. You would put it into the canner at room temperature as opposed to starting in boiling water. And then once the water's boiling in the canner, you would start your timer.
So first of all, you shouldn't touch you shouldn't touch the lids at all until the jar is completely cooled, typically 24 hours. And then it's
8 hours.
8 hours,
fine.
okay.
But you want to make sure that you're not touching the lids.
Okay. Next question. Is there a difference taste between pole beans and bush beans? And the answer is no. Both taste the same. They both are different because of the versatility. One's a bush, one's a pole. And we found out last year that pole beans, if kept hydrated, will produce beans all the way up till frost, taking 40 to 60 days to begin that cycle of production. Pole beans can be grown in a smaller area, but vertical, and can take 70 to 80 days to begin that growth production cycle of the beans. So either way works fine, just depends on what your situation requires.
Right. So we had another question coming about bunnies.
Okay.
I found the cutest bunnies. They're taking up space in my garden, though, and they're destroying my hostas. I watched them as they bit off and dropped leaves and then ran away. As a result, I have a plant with all the leaves on the ground and bare bitten down to the ground. Do you have any solution that I can spray to keep them from eating my hostas?
Well, Holly, because of where our program is heard across the country, there's somebody or somebody's yelling, shoot them. But if you do that, that's your own business, and we don't need to know about it, and we wouldn't tell you if we did it ourselves. Deer Defeat is an all-natural deer, rabbit, and groundhog repellent. Works wonderfully. Doesn't smell after 30 minutes of application to human noses, but will stay on the plants for up to, 30 days through rain, snow, and freeze if you have to apply it during the winter. And you can use coupon code RADIO to get 10% off your purchase, and that would be the much easier way to go because the formulation is already precise rather than trying to concoct and formulate based on internet searches a means of making some type of spray for yourself at home. Well, with that being said, we are out of time, and we thank you for yours. Did you miss any portion of the program today, or would you like to revisit? You can do that by going to your favorite podcast platform and searching the Gardening with Joy and Holly radio show, or you can send us an email to gardentalkradio@gmail.com, and we will send you the link to this program. Tune in next week. Do not miss the program. We will be talking about ways to keep your plants healthy through the hottest portions of the summer, as well as seed saving in the fall. Our guest will be rose expert Paul Zimmerman, and we'll answer your garden questions. So until next week, for
Holly Baird,
I'm Joy Baird, and we will see you in the garden.